Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm Colynn Hlokoff.
And I'm Meridee Hlokoff.
And welcome to Spiritual Sisters with Sass, the podcast where two sisters with a passion for spirituality and a touch of sass come together to explore the exciting world of self-improvement.
That's right, Colynn. We embarked on this incredible journey together, diving into different self-improvement techniques, yoga practices, and a whole array of life experiences.
Yeah, and through it all, we've managed to create lives that are abundant, happy, and constantly evolving. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Meridee?
You bet, sis. We've got two very different perspectives on life, but that's what makes this podcast so special. I'm all about diving in head first into life's adventures and embracing every challenge with a bit of sass. While Colynn here, she's got her own unique approach.
Yep, that's me. And I'm all about the yoga, mindfulness, and finding my zen. And together we make the perfect balance.
So whether you're looking for some wisdom, a few laughs, or just some heartfelt stories, you're in the right place. We're here to share our personal experiences and insights with you, all while exploring the wild and diverse world of self-improvement.
So grab your headphones and get ready for a fantastic journey with us. Spiritual Sisters with Sass is here to uplift, inspire, and keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in, lovely listeners. Let's dive in.
Spirit and sass. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Spiritual Sisters with Sass. This week, we have decided to with money. So, Lynn, we were just discussing, and I was like, stop talking, because that's so great. And then I lost it, which is how come we don't have conversations about our podcast before we have our podcast recording.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about? And I was like, wait, that's so good. And not the Joe Dispenza stuff yet. There was something else we were talking about that wasn't directly related to this, that ends up being super related to this. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I was telling the students that so I do a program that's quickly shifting to modern yoga teacher to the modern yoga teacher mastermind. It's coming up. We're going to be running a whole workshop, but like you said, 95% of business is mindset and healing these like old traumas, beliefs, emotions, and then 5% is like what we do in the business, like that.
Yeah, so my coach had said from scarcity to wealth, the journey there, 95% of that journey is healing yourself, and 5% is the business, the practices, the manuals, all the shit that comes with business. 5% is that. 95% is healing yourself.
And I was teaching on like this specific subject right before we got on. So I'm still like fired up around this. And so a lot of the coaching that I have done previously has been like, okay, we're going to read The Science of Getting Rich, or The Science of Being Rich with Wallace Wattles, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And literally both books say, listen, if you want something, you have to be clear on it. And then do exactly what we say in this book, exactly, and then you'll get what you want. And I've felt that. I've experienced that.
Huh?
And somehow I fucking forgot that. And so there was a reminder yesterday of like, if I tell you right now that if you fucking meditate, you visualize every day 20 minutes on your future self, that this will change your life. All you have to do for your investment, it's not $80,000 for coaching. It's investment of time into yourself to meditate and visualize every single day. You will get what you want.
And most people are like, yeah, I'll do it. Except another conversation with my coach was, well, what are you actually willing to do? Because this one guy was like, well, I like nice watches and nice suits because that makes me feel like the right person when I'm doing these things. And my coach was like, correct, except you're spending $10,000 on a watch and a suit, and you're not willing to spend that on the people that will actually help you build the business to get you where you want it, to make the money. And one of the things that you and I were talking about was this piece of, I made a deal with myself, and I think I told you this not that long ago. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to complain, right? Because we use complaining as a way to connect with, right? We don't even realize we're doing it. And the only time that I really notice that I complain is at tax season. And it's because all these people come and they dump their shit on my table. And I'm not complaining that they do that. I'm not. It's just that I didn't realize that when they come and dump their shit on my table, that then I'm going to connect with them and tell them what's wrong with my life. I have a pretty great life. I don't have a lot to complain about. When I complain, nobody really wants to fucking hear it anyways. And neither do I. And then my coach actually said in this video, and Lynn and I was like so blown away by this video that I was like, Lynn, we need to watch this video. So we watched this video, and that was kind of what initiated this podcast, because I literally felt like my brain had just been like blown out. And he said, I want you guys to basically, at the beginning of the video, he's like, write down all your complaints about money. Where are you coming from with money? How do you feel about money? What are the worst things about money? And then a few minutes later, he's like, I want you to voice record yourself saying all the things that you just said in the writing about your complaints about money. And so he makes you voice record it. And then he keeps talking. And then he's like, I want you guys to take a minute and listen to it 5 times over. Listening to it, you're like, shut the fuck up, you whiny bitch. That's literally how you feel about yourself. Am I wrong? Like, I just felt like, wow, stop complaining and get up and do something about it. And this is the piece is, I feel like when we complain, we're complaining typically about things that we can change. So an example, my best friend was complaining about our coach. And she was like, I just feel like he's not giving me enough time. And I was like, have you talked to him about this? Well, no, not yet. Then shut the fuck up. Literally, my opinion is shut up, because you're complaining about something you have done nothing about. I don't want to hear your complaint unless you've done everything you can find to fix that complaint. And once you have done everything you can come complain to me, because now you're complaining because you're looking for a solution. But really, when you're just sitting here just complaining, I understand you're venting. To me, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Your life is not as bad as you're making it seem to yourself. I know there's very little compassion in that. I feel that.
In this moment, I was like, these are the two extremes of the sisters with sass.
Literally. Because
Yeah.
right now, this is how I feel about it. And that's a reason I've made this commitment to myself to not complain, because I feel like I'm hearing these people whine and complain. And I'm like, have you done anything about it? Well, no, I'm just sitting here whining about it. Seriously, shut up and go do something about it, and then come back and talk to me about it. Because I feel like complaining isn't doing anything except perpetuating it, bringing more of the lack you're complaining about in the first place.
Well, that was the piece. That's how I ended the session today with my peeps. I said, I started with like, you can no longer. Like, if we just talked about like every day, meditate 20 minutes, future self, we'll look into it even more. We'll dive into it even more. But like, this is all you have to do every day to get what you want. So I was like, how much money do you want to make every month? So my goal is 100,000. I just heard
My goal
you
is 100,000. Yep.
the 2 people that I had on the call this morning were 10,000. So I was like, okay, great. So if you want to make $10,000 a month for the next month, you need to meditate for 20 minutes on the future self. You need to recognize yourself as you want to be, which we'll dive into. You need to check on that every day, check in every single day with that and visualize it. And then you will have $10,000 a month. That's
Can
a
I say
requirement.
one thing that will help with committing to doing this? Because another thing that I find is that a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll do it. Oh, it's just so hard. It is hard. Otherwise, nobody would do it. Or that's why nobody does it, is because it's hard. but set reminders on your phone. Set it for, like, for example, my live with my Instagram, which, by the way, I totally did fuck up. I did have one day I missed, if you guys can believe it. One day, damn it. But anyways, to set a reminder on your phone. Did I meditate today? Make it for half hour before you go to bed. So my one part of my meditation is, or my reminder right before I go to bed is that I need to write in my journal that I'm worthy of all these things first. And then that leads me into the meditation that I'm going to do before I go to bed or when I'm going to sleep. So I set a reminder for 9:30 every night that says, did you journal? And of course, it's on your phone until you turn it off. So it just sits there looking at you saying, well, did you? Well, did you? Well, did you? Well, did you? And so that's my piece to remind myself to make sure that I do 20 minutes of meditation. So whatever you need, set as a reminder on your phone. It's going to go off and then it's going to sit there until you mark it as completed.
Right.
It's
And
going to
I
make
mean,
it really hard for you to
we're gonna
forget.
we're gonna dive into it like further, but the piece is like just recognizing that if you do this every day, then you'll get what you want. Like beyond anything else, if you meditate every day, you look at what your future is, you're gonna get everything that you want. So back to the complaining, this is why it's useless to complain. Because here's the answer. Like I've got it for you now. Meditate. Visualize on what you want.
I mean, there's more to it than just
Like,
that.
don't even get into that because it's not. That's the key, period, is to show up every day, to have discipline. And that's what we're diving
Okay.
into.
Actually, you know
But
what? You're absolutely right, because having that discipline
yes,
also validates, because that's the thing is, I don't want to go to the gym every day, but I go anyways, and it's called discipline.
right.
And the discipline validates your worthiness. You're showing yourself that you are worthy, because if you hold on to this piece, and I'm telling you guys, this is the piece I'm working on right now, is I've always had this self-confidence, but I haven't always had self-worth. And there's a big difference. My self-confidence comes from external validation. It comes from people telling me I'm pretty. It comes from people telling me how awesome I am. It comes from people telling me how kind I am. My confidence has always been there because there's always been people feeding into it. But my worthiness has not been there because the person that raised me, that told me these things, told me I had to shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, and dim your shine. And now that I'm acknowledging that piece, I'm the only one who can validate myself, which means it's internal and no one can change that. So I am working on that piece. But in order to validate my own self-worth, I have to show up for myself. So discipline is going to validate your own self-worth because you're showing yourself you're worthy of showing up every single day for a lousy 20 minutes. That's less than or just over 1% of your day. I believe that it's 14 minutes is 1% of your day. I feel like that's the atomic habits thing. Now, I want to dig into this really awesome piece that my coach had us watching on the video. I know Lynn's going to dig more into like the Wallace model side of it, but my thing was, we've talked about the attachment styles in here. And if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. But we talk about the attachment styles. And in the video that my coach did, he literally starts asking you questions about, so when you're in this relationship with money, which we are in a relationship with money, where are you coming from? Like, are you uncomfortable when that person or that thing isn't around? Do you get clingy when it is around? And he started asking all of these questions about like how you feel about money. And if you can't look at it in the money side, take that and put it in your relationships. When you're in a relationship with someone, how do you act? When they're not around, are you like, I need your location. I need to know where you are. I need to know what you're doing. I need to know you're coming home. And not just that, but do you say one thing and feel another? So when he said that, I was like, oh my God, I felt myself in that moment because I say I have a secure attachment style. I'll even say I have a secure attachment style with money because I always know it's coming. And then when it goes away, I'm like, I know you'll be back. And I do because I have tax season. But tax season needs to not be my 2 months of this flourishing, and instead this consistency of flourishing with this extra abundance of if I need it. That being said, move that into a relationship. And this was so interesting for me because I feel like I lie to myself in some ways. When the person's like pulling away from you, what do? Well, I have a bit of an avoidant attachment style in some ways. That's my old attachment style. So in and I also have secure attachment style. So there's these like two pieces of me where I go to them and I say, I see what's going on here. You know, I'm here for you if you need me, blah, 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 blah. And then when they're like, meh, then I suddenly meet the energy of meh to you too, even though I'm saying it's not a big deal. I don't care. I really do care. So it's like you lie to yourself in that moment to try and make yourself feel better.
You do. You do.
I do. Yes. And again, taking this whole thing and my attachment style in a relationship and my attachment style with my relationship with money and how exactly intertwined they are.
I mean, it's really, it comes back down to how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So when you look at money, you can examine all of your relationships.
Yeah.
And that's it. Money is not energy. Energy is energy. Money is a tool that we use as a value for our energy. And so what we're doing, definitely, I listened to a bit of Joe Dispenza today because I really appreciate him because he always comes back to science and the body and how we're creating from this vessel that is energy. Like when we come down to it, and I say this in yoga teacher training all the time, there's one thing that you cannot argue about, and that is the fact that we are a mass of vibrating atoms. Like we're protons, neutrons, and electrons, and we all look the same under a microscope. We have agreed as matter that solids are a certain way, liquids are a certain way, and gases are a certain way. Everything always comes back down to physics. So we are energy. That's it. We have an illusion, and the illusion has become very obvious lately that this is why systems are breaking down. Because we have this whole illusion going on based on the fact that we have a nervous system. So you have a lens at which you're looking at the world. And the way you're looking at the world is due to your experiences, your genetics, and your environment. That then creates a personality through the impartial witness that's like residing in this body, right? There's kind of the idea, there's the energy of it all. Your nervous system, when you look through your eyes, you don't actually see through your eyes. Your eyes are a gateway for light to reflect on rods and cones. And there is an image created in your brain. Your brain is an electrical signal. Or your sight, what you're seeing is actually an electrical signal created in your brain. Vice versa. You don't hear through your ears. Your ears are created in a certain way to catch sound waves, to send them to a certain part. Remember this from biology. You have the anvil, the stirrup, and the hammer, I think it was. And those vibrate, and they send a vibration through the cochlear tunnel. Med school was a while ago. I'm losing. And it goes through the tunnel and then it hits it becomes an electrical signal that's sent to the brain. So you don't hear through your ears, you hear from your brain. Everything in you is an electrical signal. So that means, how do we know that looking at this pen, right, that it looks the same to everybody, that this color black is the same to all of us, that this color red is the same to all of us? Like, how do we know that we're seeing the same thing? We don't. In fact, I think I already said this before, in the 1500s, I believe it was. I could be off on times and dates, but I'm not off on information. Okay. There was no word for the color blue. So up until the 1500s, this is, I mean, millions of years, but we've got documented 10,000 years back, right? Civilization apparently starts at like 4,500 BC or something like that. So from 4,500 BC, so that's 4,500 years. And now we're at 2,000 years past like AD, right? And so in the 1500s, so that's 45 plus 15. So that's what, 6,000. 6,000 years, there's no color blue. And now for the past almost 1,000 years, not even, there's been a color blue. Fucking explain that to me. Because one day, what was the color? What color was the sky? The sky was a color of green, not blue. And then all of a sudden, azul makes its way into literature. And then there's colors in every language, or every language has a word for the color blue. How does that happen? That's because one person saw something and then that manifested into everybody's reality. So what the fuck? What happened to the color blue for 6,000 years prior to the discovery of it? Was it not there? Was the sky not the color? Did the sky change color?
Well, and did it? We don't know.
We don't know. And then all of a sudden there's a color blue. Like, the reality is that everything outside of yourself, beyond the laws of science, is not proven to be true. And so what you see is an illusion, and that illusion is created through your own lens. When we look in the nervous system, that's your amygdala. Your amygdala, like, heard a dog bark 6 months ago, and the dog came across and fucking grabbed your wrist, okay? So now, every time you hear a dog bark, your body will automatically react to being attacked by a dog. That's the lens now that you're seeing. Like, dogs are now evil or scary. You know, if there's this size and this, like, and not everybody believes that. Not everybody believes dogs are scary.
Yeah.
I've got people joining Insight Timer, so I'm like, hi, hi. So this idea of, like, the way that we're seeing things, money is fucking not like, it's the energy that we're looking for, and money is a tool that's attracted to us or repelled from us through that. Like, if what's the truth of what money is a fucking piece of paper that we've all agreed has a certain
value
value
attached.
to it.
Yeah.
And
And
when I
really
was
that
listening to Joe
value,
Dispenza today, he said that emotions make us feel as if we are matter instead of energy.
yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. And within that, there's there's three things that we have here. We have time, we have energy, and then we have money. And those are the three things that we exchange. So we don't get time back, and you don't get your energy back, but you can get money back because it's an exchange of the two above. And we decide what value we put on each based on what value we have on ourselves, for example, per hour, right? Like, someone who's worth millions and millions of dollars could say that they are worth $1 million an hour. Like Tony Robbins, he's $1 million for what, 3 coaching sessions?
Yeah,
Something like that. Like,
Yeah.
and his coaching sessions are less than an hour per coaching session. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, I will be worth that. You know what I mean? But we put the value on ourselves with this, understanding that we actually have this relationship with money. Because for me, I feel like that's the piece that, like, we don't really acknowledge, is how my relationship with money, because, you know, it comes down to, well, it's the law of attraction, so I need to come from a place of abundance. But if you're not actually coming from a place of abundance, you just say you are, that's why you're still not attracting that money. You know what I mean? Now, also, for some reason, it's coming up for me, the way that people view me and money versus the way I view me and money. So I have friends who will be like, oh, well, you're just so successful. And I'm like, but what is success? Because to you, it's one thing. To me, it's another. To him, it's another. To her, it's another. So what is success? What does success look like? Does that mean that you fully own your house? Is that success? Is it making $100,000 a year? Is it making $500,000 a year? What is it for you? Are you going to have a ninja moment again? And so, like, that moment of wondering, for me, what what true success is really like kind of defines some things for me, because understanding that my definition of success for myself is not as necessarily my definition of success for you, or my definition of success for my friend Jarrett, or my definition of success for my son.
Well, you're talking subjective. You're talking about subjective. In nursing, we learn this, and someone said that like success is always subjective. In nursing, if you come in, right, what does this mean? Subjective, objective is like subjective is different. We've talked about labels,
Attached.
like
Yep.
all of that. So if someone comes in and I write down patient is in pain, that's not something I can say. The patient can tell me they're in pain. That's their subjective experience. But for me, like also there's difference of pain tolerance and all these other things. What is objective, which is what I always say, let's look at what's the truth of the matter. And that's why I like these teachings coming back to our bodies and our realities of, again, the nervous system has just created a loop. And that loop is is autopilot. And we're on it because it's super easy, because we've done the same fucking thing, putting our pants on the same way our entire life without even being aware of it. And so this is our relationship with money. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you look at your relationship with money, now we're also just going to see that it's exactly the same as it is with relationships in your life. I wrote down, I either have a lot of it or I'm reckless. And when I don't have enough, I'm afraid to share it. I don't have enough of it. I spend it when I have it. It's never enough. I use it to please others. I have to work really hard for it. And it's a definer of my success.
So something that I want you to go back. You said, okay, read the first two that you said.
I either have a lot of it and I'm reckless with it, or I'm afraid to share it when it's tight.
Okay. And so it's so interesting because those two things are such common things. People are like, oh my God, like this goes to even lottery winners. They want $1 million and everyone else is like, if I had $1 million, the things I would do with that money. And yet what happens, and even I read Abundance by Deepak Chopra, and in it, he even talks about this guy who won millions of dollars in the lottery and then said, I realize I'm a $40,000 a year guy. And what that means is that basically, like, no matter how much you get, you'll always take yourself back to where you're comfortable.
Right.
So also being uncomfortable and being like, for example, we make $100,000 a month and that becomes consistent. It won't become consistent. We'll have $100,000 a month. And then the next month we'll go back to say $10,000 a month, because it's what we know and what we're comfortable with. And all these other people may look at it and say, if I made $100,000 in a month, I'd have so much money in the bank, except no, you wouldn't, because you blow it because you're not comfortable having $100,000 in the bank, or having, say you pay off all your debt. How long before you build all your debt back up? Right? Like, we go where we're comfortable. And then this also leads me to ask yourself about your parents' relationship with money. What did you hear growing up? Because we always heard the main thing, money doesn't grow on trees. And I feel like it was always you who would be like, yeah, but trees are made of paper and paper is made of trees. Like, so
well, I wrote that down. I wrote down, like, this is a very Costa Rican thing. Can you hear it?
No.
So basically, there's a person driving by right now, and either they're talking on a loudspeaker or they have a loudspeaker. They literally will have like a speaker on their fucking the top of their car, like with a tie down strap. It's just saying like, we're selling eggs. Come and get your eggs from us. The eggs are only 1,500. So I don't know about the microphone like picking up other noises, and that's what just like, came down the road. I wrote this down actually. So my childhood understanding of money is that we were broke, that cars were more important than eating, that we were losers. That's the feeling that I got as a child about
white trash. Is what you always use.
White trash. I put that down here, trash, and then I put down like decreased socioeconomic status. When it's there, there's a breakdown. When there's money, it's a fight.
Yeah.
You have to work hard. I joined a cult. I
Of
mean, this
yoga?
is it's a constant thing. My grandmother said, you know, what is this cult called yoga? I remember dating a woman, and I was dating that woman and went to Tony Robbins, and she's like, I've been checking out Tony Robbins and he's a cult. And I'm like, fuck, if it was a cult, I would join it in 2 seconds. Like, it's not. I wish it
Yeah.
was. I said it's also a determiner of my success. Wow, again, I wrote it out.
Interesting. But I
And
mean,
then
also that seems very societal of us, right?
yeah.
Society has decided your wealth determines your level of success.
And then the subjective part of that is that it never does, because you can never make enough. Like, there's always, oh, well, great, you made $100,000 a month, but like, where's your private jet, loser? Oh, great, you did that, but I have a $16 million home in the Beverly Hills, you know, in the Beverly Hills, you know, loser, you have an above ground fucking Costco pool.
You do. Yes. Yeah.
So
So it
this
comes down to what was the
idea,
beliefs that you grew up with? And ours was just that. Like
right,
when there was money, our parents fought all the time.
yeah,
And I remember our mom going, like, if we had money at Christmas, she would blow it all, spoil the shit out of us, but she would blow it all, which then created an additional fight with my dad.
yeah,
So there was always a fight when there was money around, right? There was
yeah,
always, when there was money, it was very quickly gone, because
yeah.
when we talked about this, like, we'd be like, oh my God, our house is so full of food. No, our house was full of Mr. Noodles and cookie dough
I
and
mean, there was 2 freezers full. It was food. There was a lot of
yeah.
food. Yes, we liked macaroni and cheese and noodles. My daughter told me when I didn't have that shit, I was starving her. We have to remember, Meridee, it's really important that we remember also that trauma survivors, and that's pretty much anyone in the world, their
Yeah.
memories are unreliable.
Mhm.
Even on the video last night, it said that you cannot, or maybe it was the Joe Dispenza one this morning, but it was like, you cannot believe a story that you told 10 years ago because it's a lie. Because you are no longer that person that you were 10 years ago. And so continuing to repeat that story now as the person that you are is a lie.
Interesting.
And now you create more because it keeps an emotion in the body. And so you're talking about things like, and I love it from that perspective. And I always come back down to the body, right? If we're energy and we've created a frequency, which is a pattern that we repeat, we're emitting that out there and we're pulling in whatever we emit. Whatever that looks like. That could be like someone to rip you off because you're at the level of like, oh my God, I'm going to get ripped off. You're not a piece of shit. It's just like you're vibrating at that level. So that brings that level to you.
Yeah.
And it's ingrained. You were born that way. We've done, you know, the whole progression of the podcast has been looking at like where the stories are coming from, and that we just keep playing them out, because what we do is like, I want to have $1 million. Great. Do you have $1 million? Well, my bank account says no. So then we use our senses, our 5 physical senses, to show us where we are right now. And where we are right now is a result of our past thinking. So we look at where we are because of our past, and we just keep fucking creating the same thing over and over again. The idea is like,
This
stop
is
trusting
moving
the
from
senses.
Montana to Texas. Stop being focused on Montana. You don't need to know anything else about Montana. You already know Montana. You lived in Montana. Let's move to Texas.
Right.
Focusing on future, changing your current thought patterns with your future thought patterns. And that's exactly it, though, is we're unconscious about those, like,
Right.
what your parents said about money is still a piece that you hold on to now, which is like a perfect example of you saying, like, well, when I have it, I spend it recklessly. Because that's exactly what mom did when we were kids. So focusing on now, when I have it, what I'm going to do with it.
Right.
And
Well,
looking to it, what is reckless? Because maybe to one person, the way you spend money isn't right.
Subjective, yes. Yes, it's totally subjective. What's the truth? So this is what I love about the work was like, and this was the beginning too, is like, what's the gap? Where are you and where do you want to be? And there's this gap in here of like recognizing, so who are you now, right? So what's your relationship with money now? I just shared the emotions that I have around it. If we have money, we're unhappy, right? And then what does it look like? Like, this is what I said to today on the Yogapreneurs. Okay, so you're making $10,000 a month now. That's what you want. Now you showed up, you're meditating every day. You made $10,000 a month, and now you've made $10,000 a month for 5 years. Why did you want that $10,000? What is it bringing you? You know, I know Sari's there, so she wants a house. This is what she's like working on manifesting right now, is a house, and it's a shitty housing market, and it's all the things. She's in Vancouver Island. It's just ridiculous prices, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who gives a shit about that? What is it? Where are you 5 years from now? You're in your house, right? You have made the money regardless of the housing market. You've bought your dream home, your starter dream home. You've got I am blessed set up in there. You're like touching the beads. You're looking at your office. You're seeing the dog bed where your dog is. She's like, my 12 dogs. Like, okay, great. Like, you're really clear on that vision. Now you've got the vision. That's awesome. Be as much as you can in the feels of it. But also, who is that person? So I wrote down some things about like who that person is. I am chill. I am successful. I'm still using successful. I'm just reading a little comment. So true. I am successful. I'm chill. I'm full of gratitude because when I get to where I want to go, I'm like, fuck, I made it. And I'm going to be grateful for myself. I'm going to be grateful for showing up. I'm going to be grateful for the people that have supported me along the way.
Yep.
I'm so grateful. I'm disciplined because I need to show up every day. And like we just said, I mean, there's more to it, but like number one, I fucking meditated every day for 20 minutes for the past 5 years. I've been disciplined. I'm also kind and loving. I have boundaries. I'm in flow and I'm confident. Okay, well, who am I now? Right now, I'm a fucking people pleaser. You know what? I don't even want to say that anymore because we've been working so hard on it. We, like it's you and I've been working on it so hard to recognize I'm a people pleaser and how to stop showing up that way. So my story is that I have been a people pleaser, that I care so much about what people think of me, that I just want people to be happy and I want people to like me and I want to help them, help as opposed to support in the best way that I can. I want to take care of people. We can see that in my history of my occupations, right? I am a caregiver. I'm a martyr. I'm a fucking victim.
No,
Because I do all of
I
these
was.
things for people. I have been. Because I do all of these things for people, I always end up being the good guy, but I'm also behind. Now I owe this, or someone wanted 50 grand to leave me alone, and I'm not gonna fight. Here's your 50 grand, you bleh,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Here you go. So like now I see the gap between who I am or who I was like literally a couple months ago and like who I want to be. That's the piece. And now, so even a situation that Meridee's well aware of that I'm not like talking about publicly yet is a situation I have to deal with today. And as a successful, strong ass woman, I'm not going to show up from a place of lack. I'm not going to show up from a place of people pleasing and caring what other people think about the decision that I make. And then I sat down and I looked at this. I'm chill. So I told myself, I don't need to make a decision today because I'm like in this rush panic. Like, I got to get back to this person. I got to tell them what the answer is. And then that's what we're going to do from here on out. And it's like, holy shit, Colynn, that hasn't served you at all. in the past.
Yeah.
Well, it has clearly because I've done it, but it's not served me to get to where I want to go. So
Yeah.
I'm confident. I'm confident in my decisions, but chill. I'm full of gratitude, discipline. So I'm seeing what I need to do based on also when I look at the ideas in the relationship with money, this is how I am with my fucking partners. I'm like,
That's
yeah,
the part that like, because I haven't had a partner in 4 years and my success. Okay. Okay. You're back. I haven't had a partner in 4 years and my success has definitely like my personal growth, my business growth, exponential growth over the last few years, months, etc. But I haven't had a partner to see how I treat money and my person. Do you know what I mean? And yet in that place right now, and I actually, this is really interesting, you guys. I don't have a partner right now. And I'm in this like, and I feel like I'm better. But when I started this dating thing, it was almost, and I don't want to say desperation, but like seeking so hard because I wasn't desperate. I'm not desperate for a partner. I'm completely fine on my own. But it was like this. I want somebody so bad. And then with the money coming in, because it's this season where the money comes in, I'm still coming from a place of lack. The money's coming in. And yet I was coming from, what if I don't make enough this year? What if this year there's not enough? What if? It's like the exact same as what I'm looking at with relationships that I currently don't have yet. Right? Because I haven't found my person. There's even been moments in my head of, well, maybe I am asking for too much, which has been a really interesting moment for me because I haven't believed that bullshit, even though it's been said to me over and over. I haven't believed that bullshit. So why would I start believing it now? But because the money's coming in, my relationship with money is directly related to my relationships. And so because I'm like, especially because I'm at the last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of the money coming in and it being tax season, well, maybe they're not going to come because maybe the money won't come. And then the opposite reaction has happened within the money side. And I need to also believe that the opposite is going to happen with the love of my life, that person is coming. And that person is coming. They're being called to me, but I'm doing all this work on myself and having this exponential growth within myself that either one, they could come right now and I'm not quite where I need to be for that proper healthy relationship, or I put them into the friend zone because I'm not worthy of their love yet because they're so amazing, right? So the direct correlation of the two, even though I'm not like, for you, you see it because you're in that relationship. I'm not in a relationship yet. And I am in this relationship with money, and I'm now seeing how the two of them are literally still coinciding, even though I'm not in that relationship yet.
but you're in relationship with your kids.
I am.
You're in relationship with your friends.
I am. And they're all amazing. All of the relationships I have right now are incredible. I mean, as I say that, tax season has me locked down. I'm exhausted. Like
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Meridee, but there's also like, it's like you want to have a fight so that you can see how the friendship, the relationship handles things not being so great. Because if we look at like, you're in a toxic relationship with money. When money leaves, you chase it, no explanation. When it comes back, you just accept it in. Right? Okay, great. I'm so glad you're home. And you do this over and over and over again. That's what you're saying.
I feel like, no, I feel like when it comes, I just wonder if it's going to continue is more the thing. It showed up. Is it going to stay like it's supposed to? Now, that being said,
it's not because your tax season is only this long.
Yes. And that's the whole thing I keep telling myself, like, that's why we're doing the things that I'm doing with Laser Quit.
Of course.
Because of the consistency. Now you say you almost want to have a fight. No, I don't, because I've had a few fights with my best friend.
Yes.
Okay. And it's actually shown me how much I've grown as well as how much she's grown. But it's really shown me how much I've grown, because prior to this, probably prior to the last 2 years, I would have been like, I'm fucking done with this relationship. I don't have the patience or the time. There's too much drama, da 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 da. But really, those fights have really shown me who I am and how much these people truly mean to me. And when people meant too much to me before, I ran. I got the fuck out, because you're going to hurt me now. Now you're hurting me, so let's fix this. Or I feel hurt. Not even you're hurting me. I feel
like that.
hurt. So let's fix this. And I've also acknowledged in my relationships where, say, for example, like my desire to fix that problem is so strong. And then I sit there and I'm like, I want to call her. I want to text her. I want to make this better. And I don't. I sit with it. And I'm like, okay, so I see where she needs some time right now. And normally, I'm that person who comes in and I'm like, I don't even care, Lynn. We need to fix this problem, blah, 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 blah. And with this, I'm like, she needs some time to heal or to see things. And me pushing isn't going to push her to see what she needs to see. So either she's going to see what she needs to see or she's not, or whatever. And when she comes back to me, we're going to have this conversation and see where it goes.
I hear what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
To me, I think that this is a really beautiful example to look at something a little bit deeper, because right now things are going well for you.
Mhm.
You're in flow. I see it all the time. It's really, I love it. I love when I'm in flow. It's a fucking awesome place to be. You're in flow. So everything is going well. When we started the podcast, had some issues.
Mhm.
And you said I'm secure attachment style, and I'm thinking about our issues. And like at your base, that's who you are, right? That's like a definer by most people's standards of labels of your attachment style. So remember what happened when mom got upset. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. But I also had like a whole full on motherfucking drama going on in teacher training at that moment.
Yeah.
And I was teaching 14 plus hours per day. Plus I was coaching on my lunch breaks and all of that shit, because I was supposed to have a co-facilitator. So it was full on. And then my mom's upset about the podcast. And then you're upset that I'm listening to her. And what were you doing to me? You're like calling me. You were messaging me. You were sending me messages. And I was like, you have to stop. Like, I need a moment. There's so much going on. So that's a little bit anxious. I think the importance is, I don't want to define myself by my past experiences, but I need to be aware of them so I don't keep falling back into them. If I'm like, oh, everything's in flow and I'm great, I'm bypassing a part of me that needs to be examined, that this work does.
Okay, what is it that you're seeing or thinking you see that I'm bypassing?
Yes, the relationship with money right now is that tax season provides you with a lot of money. So you don't have, your tax return, your gross income every year tells you that you're a pretty good fucking success. You're doing pretty fucking kick ass and bomb at life. This girl, may I add, is fucking, she's a boss, man. She's making like amazing amounts of money. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, tax season is coming. And so that's great because it always comes and it's here. But then the rest of the time isn't like that. So imagine that you're trying to sell me on your boyfriend, who is money, that comes at tax time, but he takes care of you and you have a good life. But he comes and he just fucking throws his love around, all like, oh, here you go. It's amazing. Da, da, da. Do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. But then he leaves for the rest of the year. He doesn't really talk to you. I mean, you've got your books. So the bookkeeping is kind of a part of tax season, but it's not really. Right? Like, so look at that relationship, because if you bypass it, then you're not actually touching on the pieces of who you are now, which is way different than who you were even fucking like your coach was saying 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But there's still a bypass happening because you're not fully secure. You're not a secure attachment style. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you'd have a partner and everything would be great right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yep.
saying this in the most kind and loving way. So it's a way that we can be like, oh, this is great. And this is how we are when we're not in trauma. And that's awesome. But like you're
Yep.
gonna come back to a space of trauma. And that's where we regress. That's why I just came out of where I came out of, because I didn't deal with this. Instead, I was bougie as AF. I know that I'm deserving of the money. This is great. I love it. There's more coming. And then all of a sudden, I got into a relationship, which I would think would be way more beneficial and happy than what I experienced. Now, it was beneficial, don't get me wrong. It's just me choosing, like, it didn't feel good. I got in this amazing relationship. I found this partner, and then all of my shit came out. And I just went
Mhm.
into a puddle of goo, piece of crap, unworthy, making up stories. I'm so glad it happened, because I know I need this, and I know I need to heal my relationship with money, and without it I'd just be an asshole. I'm pretty sure, like, I get assholey and greedy, and then like defining, like if I'm not sitting in first class, like, ew. That that's that's not, I don't think that that's healthy. That's a healthy way. It's a determiner of my
Agreed.
success,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And for me, it's that I basically double my income plus some usually during these 2 months, right? Like it's not that I don't make great money all year round. It's that this perpetuates the rest of the year to be this fantastic year. So I can do all the things I want. Um, like usually this is the time of year in the previous that, I'd pay for the kids and I to take trips, which again, it is something that I'm doing. And I would do something to the house, like a couple of years ago, it was all the floors in the house,
she
repainting the
redoes her
house. Like
house
there's,
every year.
oh, you guys, it's ridiculous. But there's always something. Like, so this year, the goal was supposed to be that I was putting that deck around the pool and da 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 da. It's not happening this year because I have other things that are a higher priority that I want to enjoy more than this deck. I mean, that being said, it could still potentially happen. It hasn't been a complete no yet. But there's definitely this piece of like, how do I continue this as a consistency moving forward? And then have this as like either an abundance moment that also comes in, but that I don't need to necessarily participate in as much anymore either. And because of the exponential growth that I've had within myself over the last 6-8 months, I feel like I'm on my way. When you were talking about like, I see that gap. Now, when I say this, I'm not, there's no like conceitedness in this when I say it, but I don't see the gap because every other year I could give you an excuse for why I continued to do the things I was doing. But I am doing the things that I would do if I was making the money, and the only change would be that I personally would not participate in tax season as much as I do now, right? Like I would allow my team to take a lot more of that. Nice little butthole.
Dog.
Um, so I feel like the only thing is that I wouldn't necessarily be working as much as I am, but everything else of who I am when I'm making $100,000 a month versus who I am right now, making almost 100,000, we'll just say. There's not like, where's the gap for me in this? Because I'm doing the personal work that I want to do. I'm supporting both my teams in the things that I want to do. I am living in the fullest integrity I have ever lived in, like the fullest integrity. And when I say that, that means that like I am doing all the things that I preach to the people that I work with, meaning obviously I don't drink, obviously I don't smoke, but I smoked a significant amount of marijuana. I used the reason that I was in chronic body pain using my coach now. That is not an issue for me. I don't smoke pot anymore at all, basically. So like looking at all of the things that are in my life and the consistency and the alignment and being so fully in my integrity right now, I don't see where the gap is between the two. And then there's that piece of me that's like, but this isn't going to stay consistent, right? Like next month, the income comes
Yes.
down.
Yes.
So for me, and at the same time, the income's also always climbing in the bookkeeping because we take on probably 3 to 5 clients a month. So it's always climbing and it's always doing its thing. But then I see the thing that I'm doing now is I'm working too much within one of the businesses. And come May, the thing that will change is that I'll be like creating content instead of working per se, which it's still working, but I won't be sitting in front of clients every single day and seeing 1,500 people in 2 months. Right? Like the things that I'm doing within the business and the amount that I'm working changes.
I hear it. I hear it.
Okay.
And I got like a feeling of my body. Like you're here, you're showing up. What you're saying, I feel 100% true. Like you're right. The looking too much to like what it was is exactly what's going to take you back there. So we use it as a way to be clear on what we want. Now you're where you want, you're behaving the way, now you can't shift it. You have to keep maintaining this integrity of character as you move forward, not letting external anything change the way that you show up. You're still $100,000 a month. You're still visualizing, feeling what that's like. That is the piece of like that most of us fall back into. Oh, the money slowed down, so I stopped showing up the way I was. And that's why I think that it's so important to know. But if we spend, like you said, your coach will say, we're not going to sit here and complain the whole time because now you're just like creating more things to complain about.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's really good. I want to, I
Staying
feel
out of Montana because I moved to fucking Texas.
right. I took down some notes today from Joe Dispenza, which is I was very clear, like that's where a lot of the coaching that your coach does comes from. And he said there's 5 things that we have to do every day. And so when we, as like a good finisher, we always want to give follow up and like tangible steps that you could take.
Yes.
So number 1, take some time to disconnect every single day. No phone, no computer, no TV, nothing. Connect with yourself. And then take some breaths and center yourself. So by taking a few breaths, you actually bring presence in. And this is what yoga teaches all the time, is like the idea of presence and creating from this place of presence and understanding. Number 3, ask, can I be defined by a vision of future instead of memories of the past? Because what you're doing is you're being defined by memories of the past. That's what you're doing every single day. So you have an opportunity now to change it. And in that moment of presence, instead of autopilot, you can create a different story. So the emotions, as I mentioned, have us feel that we're matter instead of energy. Right? We have an illusion in yoga, we call it the Maya, the veil of illusion. We are like thinking of ourselves wrongly. We're identifying as ego, but we're not actually ego. We're like God, we're energy. We're not what we are identifying on. So what we need to do is decide on the emotions of our future self. And then number 4, rehearse in your mind who you're going to be. And then number 5, decide what thoughts, behaviors, actions you are leaving behind, what emotions cannot come with you. And by being clear about that, by like saying that, right? Like people pleasing, that cannot be a part of my future. What is a part of my future is discernment and confidence. And then feel that. And it doesn't matter, who cares about the $10,000 a month? Like, feel the confidence and discernment. And 7 days, I challenge everyone like 30 days. Like, I'm telling you, do this and your whole life will change. So the only way that you can prove me wrong is by doing it for 30 days and let's see if your life has changed. That's
Yeah.
it. Like every day, 20 minutes. This is how I get in the ice bath. I'm like, it's 3 minutes. That's it. Out of 24 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there's my
Mic drop.
yeah.
I hope you
Sound
guys
good?
all enjoyed this week's recording, and we hope that it'll help you guys to really start manifesting the kind of money that you want to make in your life. And the other piece of this that I'm going to add to that is remember that we have to be grateful that the universe doesn't create things in the snap of your fingers, because we have a lot of bad thoughts. And if those thoughts came to life, like if you thought of an elephant and the elephant walked in the room right now, there'd be some broken shit. So be grateful that it takes a little bit to manifest. And the fact that for the last 2 months, I have been saying the same affirmations. It's only been 2 months. This could take a year of me saying these same affirmations in order to see those things manifest to date. So take the time and make the commitment of discipline for yourself. It doesn't need to be 15 things. It can be 3: meditation, affirmations, taking the time. Those things need to be your focus. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this spirited journey today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of self-improvement with us. 2 sisters who found their own unique paths.
Remember, life is a tapestry of experiences, and it's how we embrace them that makes all the difference.
So whether you're on your yoga mat, exploring mindfulness, or simply navigating life's twists and turns, always keep that spirit and sass alive.
We are Colynn and Meridee Hlokoff, and we're here to remind you that happiness and abundance are within reach.
Stay connected with us on social media and keep those questions and stories coming. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, beautiful souls, keep doing the work, keep sharing your experiences, and keep living a life that's authentically you.
And never forget to add a little extra sass to your day.
Spirit and sass, always.